Live from the Business Radio X studio inside Renasant Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we are coming to you from the Business Radio X studio inside Renasant Bank in Alpharetta. We've got a great guest today, but before we get to him, I want to remind folks out there that if you need help curing the headaches of administrative tasks or bookkeeping, marketing, presentations, maybe you have a workshop that needs to be planned, well, go engage a smart and reliable Office Angel. They're not a temp agency or a placement firm. Office Angels matches your business support needs with angels who have the talent and experience necessary to help you maintain and grow your business on an ongoing or as-needed basis. Your terms, your timeline. They lend a hand when needed and fly off when the job is done. Find out more at officeangels.us or call Chief Executive Angel S.E. Escobedo at 770-442-9246. And now I want to turn to Scott Siegel. Scott is the founder of Beacon Sales Advisors. Scott, welcome.
John, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's great to have you here. Now, something tells me, Scott, you have something to do with sales.
I do.
Maybe I guessed that or something.
It must be the way I look.
Tell us a little bit about Beacon Sales Advisors. What do you do for folks?
So what I do for folks and why I started, I've been a vice president of sales for the last 20 years. 3 out of my 4 kids have been born in 3 different states. Plus, I moved them 7 times, and I was traveling 40 to 50% of the time. And I've been really lucky in my career to have great mentors, to work for great organizations with great training that gave me an unbelievable foundation. And I decided to do something on my own and to give back and to help others. And what I do is I act as a outsourced or fractional vice president of sales, and I help small business owners deliver record-breaking sales and transform their sales organizations.
Wow, I heard the term record-breaking in there. I want to get back to that. That got my attention, I'm sure others as well. How common is it to have outsourced sales? We hear a lot about outsourcing, but how common is that,
It's
Scott?
more common today than it's been in the past, and it typically is for smaller companies. If you think about a small business owner, they're great people. They have a great technical aptitude about what they've done or they've built. But what they're missing is that expertise in sales, and that's where I come in and help them.
And so what typically do you find? So when somebody hires you, first of all, why are they hiring you? What problems do they identify? Other than the obvious, we don't have enough sales. But what are some of the things they identify as a need to have someone from the outside come in as opposed to hiring someone that's full-time?
Well, some of the things that you hear from small business owners, obviously my sales are declining. I want to scale my business, but I'm not sure how to do that. Or I've just lost my biggest client. What do I do? And if you're a small business owner and your largest client's 40% of your business and you knew that was going to happen, and you didn't do anything, there's a consequence. And that consequence could be you could lose your business. You might have to restructure your organization. Or what you'll hear is, I don't have time to focus on sales. I have to focus on my business while I'm focusing in my business. And one other thing you hear is they have a young sales leader who they promote, but there's no training. So part of what I provide is building and coaching and training that young sales leader to make sure they succeed.
So do you find that businesses get up to a certain point, maybe kind of on their own through basically what the owner's able to do themselves?
They do. And what I find is it's typically right around $5 million. And as they start to scale, they really need to start thinking through a 2-year plan.
A 2-year plan.
2-year plan. How to build your sales organization, how to make sure you're hiring the right salespeople. You need a CRM system. Believe it or not, 80% of small business owners don't have a CRM system.
Now talk about, for those that don't know, what a CRM system is.
Thank
What
you.
is that?
So a CRM system is a customer relationship management system.
Okay.
Which allows you to take all of your customers, make sure all the right information is in there. You're the person you're calling on, contracts, proposals, and then it keeps a record of all the different emails and conversations you've had with that customer.
And if you have a long sales cycle, that's particularly important.
It is very important. What you don't want to have is your top salesperson leave the organization and everything's in their head. Then you've got another challenge.
Sure. Well, even if you've got great sales, you've really got to have that, right? I mean, you
do, because it's all part of the business development process.
Right.
If you don't have that, you're going to wake up one day, you're going to say, I hope that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen.
Right. And there's a lot about tracking how you get sales, how you get leads, the length of time from, I guess, when that lead comes in to when the sale is made, conversions, all these things, right?
Absolutely. And for salespeople, it's all about having a scorecard. How many did you win? How many did you lose?
Okay, we've really the CRM folks owe us some commissions for we've been pushing their product. Any particular CRMs you favor out there? There's a lot of them out there, a lot of them online. Okay,
the two that I really like are Pipedrive and Pipeliner.
Gotcha.
They're ideal for small businesses.
Gotcha. Okay. And there's some big names we won't mention that small businesses do not have to spend that much money on, right?
They do, and they're really geared more towards larger organizations,
right?
More than $50 million.
Right. And the cost of these systems or platforms are very small relative to the benefit you get out of them.
They really are. And it is all, if you think about trying to either scale an organization, building an organization, you absolutely need one of those.
Now, Scott, get in a little more to you arrive on the scene.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about some of the problems that maybe are floating around under the surface of declining sales, or under the surface of you're replacing someone that's left, or what have you. What are some of the common systemic problems that you see?
Some of them, really, the first that I look for are sales resources and people. Do they have the right people in place? Do they have the right structure? Do they have the right compensation program? Salespeople are creatures of habit. If you don't incent them the right way to sell the right product, they're going to sell what they need to make money. So it really fundamentally starts with people. Another opportunity I find is around sales process. We just talked at length about CRM. If you don't have a detailed process about understanding the stages, what questions to ask, how to move to the next phase, you're not going to get to where you want to go to. So
some of that's training of people, right?
It is.
And how you move a prospective client through the pipeline.
It is exactly. So you've got in a small organization, when you hire someone, you've got to make sure you hire the right person. It's making sure it's really based on the fundamentals. It's making sure you have the right job description. But part of it is, too, every organization's culture is different. So you've got to weave that piece in. You've got to make sure you have the right ad, that you're looking for the right person with the right experience. And what I help small businesses do is I lead that process for them. I lead the interview process. I'll interview the candidates along with the business owner. And I will also make sure that they're onboarded correctly. So when they walk in that day, they have a full 90-day plan of what they need to do to be successful.
And what are the characteristics that someone needs to be looking for in a great salesperson?
Passion. First one is passion. Passion about what they do. Another characteristic is building relationships. Another characteristic is being told 9 out of 10 times. You learn in every no there's a yes, and you have to listen. And great salespeople ask great questions, and they listen, and they actually don't talk that much.
Now, you said something there that sounds contradictory. In every no, there is a yes.
Yes.
Unpack that.
So if I ask you a question, are your sales declining? And you say, yes, but we might have a plan. And I ask you what that plan is. And you say, well, I have it up here. It's all in my head. So what that means is they don't really have a plan. And even there, they're saying, I don't need help. They really do need help. So it's really asking the right questions to unfold that no and why they're saying no to a specific question to help them solve that problem.
We're speaking with Scott Siegel, and Scott is the founder of Beacon Sales Advisors. So, Scott, you also mentioned in terms of things you find that are deficient in some of the clients you take on, resources.
Yes.
Give us more on that.
So resources are around people, making sure you have the right people, making sure you have the right compensation program. We talked about CRM, making sure you have the right organizational structure and you have the right tools. You need to make sure you have the right KPIs or key performance indicators. It is all about driving discipline and accountability in the sales organization.
And how do I know if I've got the right compensation model? Because there are different sales compensation models depending on the business, and different ones are appropriate, I suppose, depending on the business, right?
They are. The fundamental question you need to ask, do the sales person's compensation, does it align with the organization's compensation? There needs to be harmony in that. So that's one thing you need to make sure. The other piece you need to make sure is that you're competitive. So if you follow those two basic fundamentals, I believe they come up with the right compensation program.
Now, but when you say the sales compensation needs to be in harmony, I mean, the sales folks are bringing on a little bit different value to the organization than someone that's, in admin or some other place in the organization. So how do I know that my sales compensation is in harmony with everybody else?
Well, as I mentioned, you got to tie it back to, if you have a 10% growth for your company, you want to make sure at a bare minimum there's 10% growth based into that compensation program.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if you want to grow your organization, and one of the challenges today in the economy is finding good people that want to stay, you've got to pay them.
Right.
And you've got to pay them accordingly.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk about some of the clients you work with. What characteristics are there of the clients you work with? What do they look like? Size, what have you?
So the clients I work with, and the great part about living here in Atlanta, I don't have to travel anymore, which is fantastic. The clients I work with range from about 5 to 50 million, small to mid-sized businesses, and it really could be across any industry.
Okay, so are there any particular industries that you specialize more in than another?
No, it's really across the board.
Okay.
If you, regardless of the industry, a solid sales infrastructure, strategy, and process, those are common characteristics across any industry. Now,
tell us a little bit about what makes you different.
That's a good question.
I only ask good questions, Scott. How'd you like that one?
That was good. That was good.
Okay.
So what makes me different is I'm a builder. Compared to most consultants, I just don't give advice. I actually become part of that team's organization. I work side by side with the owner. I work side by side with the leadership team and the sales team. I get an email as part of that company, but the most important thing I do, I sit in the seat and I do the work, and I focus on delivering results. That's how I'm different.
Results matter, right?
Yes, they do in sales.
For sure.
It's all about the results.
It's all about results. So you mentioned several different aspects to what you do, but I want to get clear with everyone out there so that they understand kind of the services that you provide.
Sure.
So
It really comes down to three components. The first one is sales strategy, is building out a 1 to 2 year sales strategy, compensation program, CRM, building out an org structure and setting the goals and quotas for the sales team. The second component is all around the sales process, is making sure you have a defined, written on one page sales process, asking the right questions, understanding what stages you're going through, and then even around job descriptions, making sure you have a detailed job description. The last component is around sales management. It's doing weekly sales meetings with the team, weekly one-to-ones. It's about actually going in and doing the hiring, the training, and training a new young sales leader to make sure they're positioned for success. And it comes down to installing accountability and discipline. And it is all about creating a consistent, repeatable process that will deliver results again and again by following the system.
Now, Scott, there's a lot of different aspects to that. A lot of folks, I'd imagine, hire you for different aspects of those services. But what does an engagement with you look like? I mean, somebody wants to reach out and get in touch with you, and we'll give your contact information here shortly. How does that process work? Do you have a consultation on the front end, interview with them? How does that work?
Yeah, thank you. So typically what I'll do is go in and I've got a series of questions I'll ask. The more that I can understand their business, where their pain points are, then I can provide solutions on how I can help them eliminate those pain points. Most of my engagements typically last a year, because if you want to build a repeatable process, thinking about hiring people, gaining alignment in the organization, it typically takes a year to do that.
Gotcha. And I'm not asking for numbers, but it just the method of payment. Do people pay you based on retainer, results? I mean, how does that work?
It's a combination of retainer and results.
Okay. Excellent. Scott Siegel. Scott is the founder of Beacon Sales Advisors, is with us today. We've got to hear about a success story or two. So brag on what you've done for someone.
I'll give you one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
I worked with someone 5 years ago. They had a great product, but they didn't know how to scale their business. They didn't have a plan to grow their business over 2 years. They didn't have any sales process. They weren't doing weekly sales meetings, no new business. What I was able to do, come in, interview the owner, interview the sales team, was to build out a 2-year strategy. We actually broke it out by channel. We instituted the fundamentals around weekly sales meetings, weekly one-to-ones. We actually built a new business development process. And what we were able to do was grow that business by 40% in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
We picked up 4 new customers. It's all about the money and the results. 4 new customers certainly contribute to that 40%. And we actually hired a person to go call on a channel or vertical that we didn't have any expertise in. So that's an example of a success story.
That's awesome work from Scott Siegel. He's the founder of Beacon Sales Advisors. So, Scott, this has been great. For those that would like more information, would like to be in touch with you and maybe have a consultation with you, tell them how they can be in touch.
So they can reach me one of 2 ways. They can either call me at 978-881-4069, or they can email me at ssiegel, SIEGEL, at Sales Acceleration, and that is SALESXCELERATION.com.
Great. Scott, thanks for being with us.
John, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, today you're connected more than ever, and whether it's your friends, your family, or your life, Renasant understands how you bank, offering the mobile banking services that you need. Renasant also knows that sometimes you need to speak to real people with real answers, and that's why Renasant has more than 190 convenient locations throughout the South ready to serve you. For more information, go to RenasantBank.com. Renasant Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And folks, just a reminder, you can listen to this show on a variety of major podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. You can also go online to northfultonbusinessradio.com. Check out our archive there of going on 180 shows at this point with well over 400 guests. We've got a wide variety of business leaders and professionals in and around the North Fulton area that you can check out there. On social media, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, North Fulton BRX on all three of those platforms. So for my guest, Scott Siegel, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.
Renasant Rewards Extra is the checking account that checks all the boxes. Roadside assistance? Check. Cell phone insurance? Check. More than 400,000 local shopping discounts? Check. Up to $25 per month in ATM refunds and a great rate? Check. All in an easy-to-use mobile app. To open an account or find out more about Renasant Rewards Extra Checking, go to RenasantBank.com or visit us at any of our more than 190 locations throughout the South. Renasant Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.